Oh, Tashidele. Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are doing fine. And welcome back to the Lojong session. So, as like in the past, we take some time collectively do some practice together. And we conduct the practice on the basis of correct motivation, um, that which build on a stable refuge in Guru Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Then we dedicate this practice to all the sentient beings, well-being, in particularly those of people and the beings that who are right very now going through uh, sufferings, difficulties, including of those in the family and the circle of friends, especially those who request prayer supports, to whom that you know that they need your prayer supports. And also, I think past week, Stephanie, who tirelessly putting effort to organize this teaching, she was unwell, so we all come together and dedicate this practice for Stephanie to uh, recover swiftly, perfectly, completely, and able to continue to serve the Dharma, serve Gyabja Lama Subarampuche, serve the centers, and fulfill all her wishes, and enjoy perfect health, long life, like that. Sangye Jodang Zoye Jona La Janju Bado Dane Jazonje Daje Jinzoje Be Sonamje Dola Benje Sangye Dubarai Jo Sangye Jodang Zoye Jona La Janju Bado Dane Jazonje Daje Jinzoje Be Sonamje Dola Benje Sangye Dubarai Jo Sangye Jodang Zoye Jona La Janju Bado Dane Jazonje Daje Jinzoje Be Sonamje Dola Benje Sangye Dubarai Jo Semje damje dewa dan dewe yudan dembra juje semje damje dunga dan dunga je yudan dawa juje semje damje dunga mepe dewa dami dawa juje semje damje nyere jadan yudan dawe danyola nebra juro je semje damje dewa dan dewe yudan dembra juje semje damje dunga dan dunga je yudan dawa juje Semje damje dunga mebe dawa dami dawa juje semje damje nyere jada ni danda we danyo la nebra juro je semje damje dawa dang dewe ju dan dembra juje semje damje dunga dang dunga je ju dan dawa juje semje damje dunga mebe dawa dami dawa juje semje damje nyere jada ni danda we danyo la nebra juro je Kamge doje ne zone dawa damje bombe jere dambe jene dunje ma godam de la changze lo tonye ninje sondo jube lam seje seje kanje tende ge chana be mo tenzi nyazo so wan de zo da ju jinje lo tabje doje shaje re doje jinje men do doje bu jomba seje lumbo da bo zebe ge shaje jabo de la changze lo Daya tao muni muni ma muni yeso ha daya tao muni muni ma muni yeso ha daya tao muni muni ma muni yeso ha daya tao muni muni ma muni yeso daya tao muni muni ma muni yeso ha daya tao muni muni ma muni yeso ha daya tao muni muni ma muni yeso ha daya tao muni muni Mamuna yezo dayata omonga de baranga de barasam gade bude yezo dayata omonga de baranga de barasam gade bude yezo dayata omonga de baranga de barasam gade bude yezo dayata omonga de baranga de barasam gade bude yezo dayata omonga de baranga de barasam gade bude yezo Tayata Omo Gade Gade Para Gade Para Sam Gade Buddhi Yezo Tayata Omo Gade Gade Para Gade Para Sam Gade Bodhi Yezo Dayada Omo Gade Gade Para Gade Para Sam Gade Bodhi Yezo Dayada Omo Gade Gade Para Gade Para Sam Gade Bodhi Yezo Omo Ahum Benzaram Guru Pema Siddhi 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 Ming me zebe derjen jere ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang de bo male jumze sangwen da kanjin jembe zujin zonga ba lo san da be shabla so wande ming me zebe derjen jere ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang de bo male jumze sangwen kanjin jembe zujin zonga ba lo san da be shabla so wande ming me zebe derjen jere ze deme jembe ombo jambe yang de bo male jumze sangwen da kanjin jembe zujin zonga ba lo san da be shabla so wande Mi me zeve derjen chere ze teme kembe ombo chambe yang de bo male jumze samye da kanche kembe zujin zonga ba lo san tabi shala so wande mi me zeve derjen chere ze teme kembe ombo chambe yang de bo male jumze samye da kanche kembe zujin zonga ba lo san tabi shala so wande mi me zeve derjen chere ze teme kembe ombo chambe yang de bo male jumze samye da kanche kembe zujin zonga Lozan tabi shaula zowa de om mani beme hum om mani beme hum om mani beme hum om mani beme om mani beme hum 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 om mani beme Om mani beme hum, 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 om mani beme om mani beme Omo dare do dare dure zoha, omo dare do dare dure zoha, omo dare do dare dure zoha, om dare do dare dure zoha, omo dare do dare dure zoha. Omo dare do dare dure zoha, omo dare do dare dure zoha, om dare do dare dure zoha, om dare do dare dure zoha. Omodare dodare dure zoha, omodare dodare dure zoha, omodare dodare dure zoha, omodare dodare dure zoha. Omodare dodare dure zoha, omodare dodare dure zoha, omodare dodare dure zoha, omdare dodare dure zoha. Om dare do dare dure zoha, 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 om dare do dare dure zoha. Tayata om be ganze ma be ganze ranza samunga de zoha. Tayata om be ganze ma be ganze ranza samunga de zoha. Tayata om be ganze ma be ganze ranza samunga de zoha. Tayata om be ganze ma be ganze Ranza samunga de soha dayada omo be ganze maha be ganze ranza samunga de soha dayada om be maha be ganze ranza samunga de soha dayada om be ganze maha be ganze ranza samunga de soha Om Mare Zema Zoha, 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 Om Mare Zema Zoha. Da ye Java Tam Je Dan, Cheba Ye La Zambe De, De Nye Ge Me Zu Jun Du, Du Ba La Me Jin Je Lo. Raja Jungwe Jeze Dre, Dojo Mejo Yazazo, Zemde Zemele Jungwe Jibagune, Nyodo Jabdozo, Jawade, Nyodo Dan, Oze Jema Dojoje, Doaji Jamale Bande, Zala Barai. Jambe Bawa Jedra Jembada, Gundo Zambo de Ande Jinje, de Dagunji Jezo Daloji, Jawa de Damje Rabdunga, de Sujebe Jawa Damje de Ngogala Chudunga Bade, Daje Jeve Zawa de Gunja, Sambo Jeje Rabdunga Warai. Pama Zimje Damje Dendan Denjuje, Ngendo Damje Dado Donga Dan, Janju Zemba Gana Zujuba, de Dagunji Mala Dujuje, Zimje Neba Jinyeba, Nyodo Nele Dajuje, Dovene Nemaleba, Dado Jua. Mē bārāi yō, bē dāngzō wā mī gō bē, yī jī nū wā bāngzāng jī, zim jī rā wā guñ zī bē, zāmbā chī shīn rū bē tā yī yō. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think last week we had some internet issues, so I don't know exactly where I stopped, but I think maybe today I will just read. Well, most likely I've completed two verses on last class, which we have started from verse 61. So I think I will just read first two verses. Then after that we will continue the rest. So if those of you are using the same volume of text, then we are on page 187, verse 61, and we are currently studying stages of the heroic mind attribute to Selingpa. So it says like this. So, however you act, you seek pain and suffering. Whatever you do, you lost your real purpose. This is so because excessive self grasping lies at the root. This is so because of inadequate forbearances and courage. Verse 62. This is so because the soil of loving kindness is met barren. This is so because the root of the compassion has been cut. This is so because the virtuous awakening mind is lost. This is so because of concerting with unruly negative friends. Yep. Then verse 63. So it says like this. All these are now things of the past. The path lost must now be offered to those above. From here on, you place high hope in no one. Locate not your needs either within or without. So, such as what described in verse 61, however the one act, somehow, we we accumulate negative karma, generate negative emotions and create negative karma, and that accumulate, abundance of causes for future suffering, and live in the environment of where uneasiness and the sufferings, and whatever you do, somehow, even in the life of following the Dharma, somehow, due to the influence of outwardly concerns, due to the overwhelming powering of delusions, and overwhelming powering of the past karma, then, excessively get distracted by sensual desires, then somehow, even in the journey of Dharma practice, that we lost our real purpose of life, you see. and and this is we come to know that this is because of very much due to the excessive self-grasping, then not having stable, forbearances and the courage in the practice of the Dharma, not having stable renunciation towards samsara and delusion, not having, genuine, strong courage, aspire for liberation and enlightenment. So now, all these are now things of the past, like I said in the verse 63. All these are now things of the past. We cannot allow ourselves, to continue to live a life with meaningless. We cannot continue to live a life, in pursuit, of causes of suffering. You see, we cannot live a life like what Shantideva says. Um, mm, like in the Buddha Savacharya, those desiring to escape from suffering hasten right towards suffering. With a very desire for happiness, out of delusion, they destroy their own happiness as if it were our enemy. So we cannot live like that. We truly have to um, let it pass. Then we have to live a life full of mindfulness, full of mindfulness uh, in perfect virtues. So not only to ourselves, like the line following says on verse 63, the path lost must now be offered to those about. Not only yourself, but also, one should work hard to fulfill those lost path into the rest of the other sentient beings. Those rest of the other sentient beings who are equally like yourself, completely lost in samsara. Completely lost in the darkness of ignorance. Mhm. So therefore, um, uh, the perfect way to um, you know, uh, mm, perfect way to bring, in service to establish the path, not only in yourself but also rest of the other sentient being, is to follow the altruistic path, follow the Lojong path. Uh, mm, then actualize the state of the full enlightenment. So that way, one will able to achieve all the stages of the path. Simultaneously, one can able to achieve the perfected the tools, the capabilities, um, to fulfill the part in the rest of the other sentient being. Comparing to the rest of the other part, even the Buddhist part of um, who are aspiring part of self-liberation, the hero's path and solitary realizer's path, even though it's Buddhist path, but they are not as efficient and they are not as perfected as a path like the path that described from the Lojong, path that described from the Mahayanic Dharma, that which really, able to, uh, you know, um, hmm, to fulfill the aims of the entire numberless sentient beings. So it's talking about that. So from here on, place high hope in no one. So here meaning that from here on, not like in the past, that we will not put hope and place reliance on the false self, false self, uh, and it is basis. You see, yeah. So from now on, you know, uh, yeah, one will not, submit ourselves under the control of the false self. The and it is, the grasping uh, demands. Locate not your needs, either within or without. Uh, uh, so this is, mm, mm, um, you know, locate not your needs either within or without. Uh, mm. So it's very much talking about that not endure, the claims of the self-grasping and self-cherishing. Uh, uh, mm, the you know will not endure uh, uh, the claims of this, within self-graspings um, uh, pursuits, and at the same time, then the the what do you call in relation to that grasping, then brings about, you know mind, the what do you call the different partial attitudes, the graspings, in particularly in relation to the grasping attachment, which very much very much express in the manner of self-cherishing attitude. All this uh, will be renounced. Um, mm, all this going to be rid of from one's system, like that. So verse 64: held not the rise of unnecessary conception, follow not the trial of past negative deeds, or mountains of demonic self-grasping, swear now, or mountains of demonic negative trend, swear now. So uh, so not just kind of lightly making the commitment, to really to mm, like what I have expressed in the verse 63, that one really mean it, and determined to fulfill it, and not only that, you know mm, really to make it commit, as if such like the self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude is like a kind of a person that really that making them to commit that to really able to get rid of them. Mhm. So yeah, so held not rise of the necessary conceptions, um, you know unnecessary conceptions, such as the false conceptions of permanent grasping, you know um, um, uh, start with the permanent grasping to the self, permanent grasping of things, and then there's inherent grasping of self, and inherent grasping of the things, such as aggregates, etc. Will not allow. So, so the way to not to allow, the rising of the unnecessary conceptions is for us to be mindful, in the wisdom of emptiness. If we are not mindful in the wisdom of emptiness, then just saying that I will not allow, it doesn't work. You need to apply the antidote, and if you don't apply the direct antidote, the um, the grasping ignorant won't able to eliminate, without leading the light, the darkness will not go away. Even you wish the darkness to go away and you want darkness to go away, and just expressing that is not good enough. So similar goes to our practice. We already know the how destructive the self-grasping, self-cherishing, and these false conceptions are, and and not just wanting them to go away, but the skillful and the right way to make them go away is live in the antidote. uh, be cultivation in antidote, meaning meditate on selflessness of emptiness of self and emptiness of phenomena. So you can do that through analytical meditation, absorption meditation, then you divide, our throughout the day into two sessions, certain, conducive time, try to do some observation meditation, and rest of the time when our senses, our mind integrate with the objects, then try to, cultivate the emptiness like a illusion, illusional like meditation, or illusional like wisdom of emptiness, or the dream like wisdom of emptiness, like that. So follow not the trail of past negative deeds. Um, so so not only that, not only avoiding or overcoming the delusion, but also we have to refrain from committing again, such negative actions of the past, negative actions like the past, like in the past, because if we, even how much meditation we do, but if we don't control our actions of body, speech, and the mind, then that will build the conducive conditions to, arise the delusions, you see. So the delusion to be arise, you also need a conducive condition. So you see, so not just clearing the mind, but also clearing the bad behavior of our speech and our body and our, the essential conceptual thoughts, so that way, then not only, we are able to get rid of, not only able to suppress arising of this delusion and engaging in negative karma, but we can able to eradicate from the root, like that. So therefore, so this is the commitment that you're going to do. So, or mountain of demon self-grasping, swear now, so it's kind of, very much telling yourself, that, the swearing is very much done by yourself, you know, um, um, the false eye that you still carry, we have not overcome yet, we know is a false eye, but we still very much under the influence of it, so it is kind of very heavy stain. It is not so simple, and it is not so easy to get rid of it, just by meditating few rounds, and just by practicing dharma sometime is not good enough, you see. So so therefore, uh, the 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 false claiming the person, the I, also uh, within your conceptual idea, then the genuinely interdependent arising, existent I, also, within your conceptual idea, you see. So therefore, now you are making the commitment. You are making, it's very much um, the wisdom. The wisdom is very much in conversation with the false I right now, that the false I is the regime, you know and the wisdom is going to bring revolution, within yourself. So telling that you better, dismantle, your empire, because I'm going to bring revolution of no self. I'm going to bring revolution of selflessness. I'm going to bring revolution of no negative doings, you see. So that kind of like a firm commitment. Or mountain of demonic self-grasping, swear now. Or mountain of demonic negative trait, swear now, so like that. So, so the impact of this very, strong swearing and commitment, that from now on, as a practitioner, after seeing this teaching, then, we have to be more vigilant than before. Our mindfulness and introspection um, be even has to be more vigilant, more forceful than ever before. So, to watch over our three doors, and 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 gradually, to train ourselves and completely get to transform. So verse 65: O mountain of blaming others, swear now. O mountains of craving for sensual object, swear now. contemplate the dear beings as your mother, and shoulder all their misfortune upon yourself. You see, so also one of the disturbing, now and then disturbing negative emotion is, always, blaming, the faults on others. You see, uh, so you see, blaming the faults on others. So this is the expressions, the way of understanding of the self-grasping ignorant. The self-grasping ignorant, the how understand, things and events. Anything that is that is harmful, is kind of blame onto others as others' fault. You know, mm? And never take responsibility. You see. Mm, mm. So therefore, now you make a firm commitment that from now onward, that you you know investigate within, not without. You see, and uh, blame to the single point. Blame to the you know single enemy, that which is none other than the self-grasping ignorant. Nothing other than that. Mm. Then another, the major, the habitual wrongdoing is the craving for the sensual object, that which creates so much of uh, conducive environment for delusions to manifest, for delusions to strengthen, their empire. You see, so from now on, not only renouncing the delusional, the grasping within the attitude, but also going to limit the grasping to in relation to the object. You see, so going to limit both grasping in relation to the objects, as well as to the subject. You see, so the way to do that in effective and in reality is being mindful to be being mindful in what you call the uh, so being mindful in the antidote, such as detachment, you see, such as detachment, and uh, always watch over our mind to lessen the arising of delusion, and whenever it arises, try to apply antidote accordingly. Then as far as concerned for the external objects, then try to limit gathering of the sensual objects, as well as having desire of gathering the sensual objects. Try to be more simple uh, living, less attached to less attached and less dependent to the essential objects. You see, in another way of understanding is, try to find happiness, inner peace, joy, through the wisdom, not through reliance on objects. You see, not through reliance on sensual objects. So through meditation, we can able to make sense to ourselves. What it meant. Up to now, the suffering from dissatisfaction, then overwhelming, the thirst of the desire. All these are because of the excessive, attachment, grasping to the essential objects. Excessive letting arising of the desirous attachment. Because of that, that's why that we never experience genuine peace, genuine happiness, real happiness. We never experience up to today. uh, very much what we experience up to today, even in the form of joy and happiness, is all are in fact in the experience of suffering of change, you see. So since we aspire genuine peace, lasting peace and happiness and joy, then uh, the way to do that is not to rely on the factor of sensual objects and the sensual desire, rather try to, depend on the wisdom of understanding of detachment, wisdom understanding, wisdom understanding uh, the wisdom of detachment, to the desire and the to desire object, and wisdom of uh, wisdom of uh, getting rid of the grasping. You see, wisdom of wisdom of wisdom of self, and the relation with the things and events, on the basis of on the basis of no grasping to the self, and no grasping to the things and events. So that way, then we're able to bring you we're able to actualize a genuine, stable, lasting inner peace, inner joy. Yeah. So yeah, like that. So there's a lot of meditational practice that need to do. Mm, mm, mm. So now you say contemplate the dear beings as your mother. So one of the way for us to gather the conducive environment, internally and externally, in order for us to gain valuable wisdom, and able to slowly let go of those false views and false creation of karma, is for us to develop altruistic attitudes, like such as contemplating loving kindness, compassion to all sentient beings, you know or feeling our heart in the concern of the well-being of rest of the numberless sentient beings, rest of mother sentient beings. Mhm. Then um, um, on the basis of understanding the rest of the sentient beings samsaric situation, then try taking responsibility of taking others misfortune, the rest of the other sentient beings misfortune, onto yourself, and cultivating any form of virtue and path for that purposes, including actualizing enlightenment for that purpose. On that brings full of meaning into our life, that brings full of inner peace, inner satisfaction, and that helps to lose the ground of the grasping to the false I, and that will help to lose the ground of the false grasping to the things and events, and that will help to lose uh, the self-cherishing attitude. By losing the self-cherishing attitude, then it will help to lose rest of the other delusions like attachment, grasping, like that. So verse 66 is said, take all their sufferings upon yourself, and make your own self the object of intense ridicules. Think of the terror. Reverse all your negative deeds. So very much the practice of Tonglen, practice of taking and giving, you know, in all Mahayanic Dharma, the one of the most powerful and the essence practice of the altruistic Dharma is the Tonglen practice. Taking and giving. Giving all your body, speech, and mind, all your past, present, future virtues, and all the happiness, to the cause of other sentient beings' well-being. And any misfortune that going through within yourself, any misfortune that you see in the rest of the other sentient being, taking upon uh, to the single enemy, to the self-grasping and self-challenging attitude. So that is the way. That is the way that for us to be free from all our past wrongdoings, and able to really to mature ourselves to be the, child of the Buddhas, like the Bodhisattvas, like that, So take all their suffering upon yourself, take all the mother sentient beings, any form of suffering to yourself meaning to the false I, to take on to yourself is to take on to the false I in the reason of, you know, destroying the false I and the false grasping of self-cherishing attitude, take on to that, you see. So, so there are many different sort of visualizations that you can engage. If it is, sickness, sickness that you see in others, like in your family members or friends or other animals, and including the rest of the other sentient being, whatever form of sicknesses that people are going through, then when you engage in this Tonglen of taking their suffering onto yourself, then you visualize those sicknesses in the in the form of blood and pus. Then when you breathe in, then through the bridge or through the through the frequency of breath, take all those sicknesses in the essence of blood and pus into yourself, into yourself, right at the central chakra there, where there holds, this conceptual mistaken view of, self inherent existence and self, cherishing mistaken attitude, then you feel like it, it dissolve into that, and that uh, that energy, that negative energy of self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude is like the moment the blood and pus, of other things touch there, instantly the entire mm, uh, your own sicknesses, entire rest of the other sentient being sicknesses, uh, then including the root cause of others' suffering, root cause of your own suffering, your own samsara is self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude. That also completely, destroyed. Completely purified. It's very much like the atomic bomb. Like like throw onto the right target and completely uh, you know uh, completely destroy you know from the root. So you can visualize like that. If the yourself going through um, disturbances, in particular in relation to mental disturbances, it could be, or even physical disturbances, it could be due to the harm of maybe like spirits, nagas, landlords. Then if others are going through, sufferings, like such as cancer, such as stroke, uh, many of these sicknesses are, very much, uh, the root factor is very much, harmed by other spirits, and those other spirits are object of your harm in the past, now, creating this kind of harm, in relation to destroying the nature, like kind of, destroying the land, just destroying the like a natural trees, you know polluting the natural air, polluting the, natural pure stream water, etc., like that. Whenever that whenever you harm the nature, then in those nature, there is a ownership or the right residing of, different beings, and those many of those beings are in the form of spirit. Mm. In the form of spirit, including, some of the nagas, not really like necessarily has to be like naga, like a snake, like that, in the form of spirit, but then in the realm of, naga, you see. So landlord, also can be in the form of spirit, but then that which, live on that land for eons, for hundreds of years, then we as a human being, without proper asking of permission, we simply dig the soil, we simply, take this stone to the other side of the land. So there are so many that kind of action that we human beings do, and very much, due to our own, conceptual ideas, in the form of business, in the form of creation of kind of beauty, etc., etc. But very much we disturb the nature, you see. So, so then that, cause, all sort of diseases. In particular, there are some specific diseases I mentioned before. So, so you can visualize, all those spirit harms in the form of um, uh, mm, what's say mm, 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 in the form of uh, uh, the like a scorpion, you know, yeah, in the form of scorpion or in the form of frogs, yeah, scorpion is uh, uh, yeah. Sorry, I think I made mistake here. So here, for this, you visualize in the form of blacks, dark smoke. Yeah, a very very dark smoke like that. Mm. Uh, then when you inhale, you inhale. Then again, similar like in the past, you bring about destroying the self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude. Then visualize that all those harms are pacified. Then if it is uh, the negativities, the result of negativities or the force of negativities, negative doings of the past, in particularly the negative accumulation in relation to transgrading the vows, transgrading the promises, transgrading any form of ethics. Then those negativities, to purify them, then again you can do, through Tonglen. If someone is experiencing a lot of obstacles in life and sufferings, due to past uh, negative karma in relation to breaking samayas, transgressing vows, etc., or yourself, had transgressions in the vows and ethics and promises, then you can do Tonglen, in the form of the scorpion. mm, um, uh, you visualize that the scorpion, then all the negativities dissolve into that scorpion, then very very scary, very very dark color, scorpion. Or then you visualize when you inhale your breath, then it enter through your nose, or then right at the center of your heart where the self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude right there. And the moment the scorpion reach there, then instantly, all the harms and sicknesses, including the root cause, self-grasping, self-cherishing, is completely destroyed. So when you are in trouble, you can do the Tonglen. When you see others are in trouble, others are in suffering, also you can do the Tonglen practice. Or then make your own self as object of intense uh, ridicule. So here, make your own self is not talking about, this um, the conventional interdependent arising, the precious human self, and it's not talking about that. Again, it's talking about the false, defined, self, the false I. It's talking about that, make your own self, the false I, false self, object of intense, ridicules, Mhm. Think of the terror. Uh, so you do the Tonglen practices, um, understanding the how intensity, how harmful it is of, you know, cultivation of this, the self-grasping, self-cherishing attitude. Mm, how intense it is. Even when you are not suffering, even others, even you don't see others are suffering, even in the good time, that you can still do Tonglen, uh, simply understanding that outwardly, even how happy we look, how okay we look, but main thing is we are still harboring self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, isn't it? You know, even how others are look so happy, they are partying, they're laughing, there's no any kind of those external sign of suffering like pain, etc. But still we can do this Tonglen practice because knowing they are still they are still under the control of self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude. And when we know the terror, the negative impact of the self-grasping and harboring of self-grasping and self-cherishing attitude, then uh, you really intensify your practice of Tonglen, then purify them, reverse all your negative deeds, yeah. So then that way, you really effectively can able to transform yourself, from wrongdoings and wrong habitual habits of the past. So if we don't do that kind of intensity, then just a light kind of practice, not easily the self-grasping and self-cherishing can able to go away. Verse 67, in this way, cut the continuum of the affliction, both within and without, and at all time. Never hold on to the suffering of this self. If you gather negative karma, declare this in public. You see. Hmm? Hmm. So in this way, so as mentioned before, through that kind of essential and powerful practice of altruism, Tonglen practice can, by doing by engaging in such kind of dedicated intense practice, can able to cut the continuum of afflictions, um, any form of afflictions like that, uh, from both within and without, and all time, not only now, and all time, you see, uh, not only purify of the past afflictions, but also, uh, you know, not live in the cultivation in the present time of the affliction, and will not uh, create the causes and environment to, you know, cultivate the affliction in the future. You see, in relation to the subject within, and also in relation to the object, without, like that. So that really can able to cut absolute continuum, the grasping chain. Mm. Never hold on to this suffering of this self. Um, the you see, this false self, here meaning is, don't get looted by this false self, because of sounding so pitiful, because of sounding so fragile, so pitiful, all are lies, all are looting, so that's why it's a never hold on to the suffering of this self. Because the self-grasping, this false I always say, oh, I'm, I'm cold, I'm too hot, I feel too cold, you know, you know, I, I fear, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, or I do this, I do that, etc. There's a lot of false decisions, wrong decisions, in the concern of the sensitivity of this false eye, sensitivity of false eye. Then sometimes we kind of, forgive, some kind of forgo, some kind of, give support, some kind of, offer service to fulfill the needs of this, false eye. We do that. We do that up to today. Just because of a little bit of, um, um, kind of inconvenience to this false eye, then there's a lot of exaggerations of kind of, um, false views. You see, let's say if someone just criticize you, it's just simply critic about you, and this false eye, gets so offended, and take revenge, be revengeful, etc., etc. There's so many examples. We all know about that. How um, how we behave when we are under the control of attachment, under the control of aversion. How we behave under the control of delusions like jealousy, ego, pride. How we behave. You see. So it mm, so always sounds like it's so fragile, so precious, so pitiful, so therefore that you cannot share any form of your energy with others. You have to be fully focused, like a selfish child, like asking the parents to only focus on him or her, never to focus on others. Mhm. Like, it can be like that, you see. So therefore, from now on, never hold on to the suffering of this self, you see. um, mm, if you get a negative karma, declare this in public, you see. So in particularly, you see, within this two line, this false self, whenever committing negative actions, negativities, always hide, always kind of as in the form of like protection to you. If you do something wrong, if you generate negative doings, negative actions, you cultivate negative emotions, you try to hide, because of the kind of caring for this false I, you know. But mm, but for the wisdom, then you won't do that. If you make a false, then you purify them. The way to purify them is through declaration. You see, so that's why if you get a negative karma, declare this in public. You see, so here there's a broad understanding when talk about gather negative karma. If you gather negative karma and declare that in public in order to purify them. So as an ordained sangha, whenever we transgress any form of the monastic vows or Vinaya vows, then we have to purify in the community, which is the sangha community, which is the public, minimum of for minimum of four fully ordained sanghas. uh, then in the public event of the confession ceremony, Sojong, you see. So that is what it meant. The Vinaya precepts can be purified. What's a transgression of Vinaya precepts can be purified and can be restored. Uh, in by declaring in public of the sangha community. So the sangha Vinaya transgression we cannot expose in the lay community. Not even to one. The sangha, any form of transgression in the Vinaya practice of the sangha, that sangha never can declare it to the lay practitioner. You know, there's a reason for that. You see. So there are so many reasons. There. One of the reasons is to, one of the Vinaya practice is not the sangha not to cause losing the faith of the lay practitioners in the Dharma. You see, so one thing is because of that. So therefore, but then again, you cannot conceal the false. You have to find way to you know engage in the confession ceremony. Even it takes like in today's time, many individual sanghas, we travel around the world and we travel solo, so we don't have that environment to attend the confession ceremony where there's a four fully ordained sanghas are there. Mm. So therefore, at least even it takes a years, we find the opportunity. Let's say like in many nowadays, even in the West, there's many sangha communities. But if not, then when we go to India, Nepal, then there are monasteries. So then try to uh, try to find the opportunity to participate in those Sojong confession ceremony. Then there, you declare, you purify all the transgressions and restore, all your vows. So this is at least once a while is very important to, best is of course we should do, all the time, you know, like that. Uh, um, but then uh, so in relation to the Bodhisattva vows, or in relation to the Bodhisattva vows, if you breaks, then you have to purify, you know, you have to purify you know, in the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, that you can do in actual person Buddha or Bodhisattvas, like such as your precious gurus. If not, then you can, do that in front of your altar by visualizing, those Buddha's images as an actual, living Buddha, and where that you confess and restore the Buddhist vows. As far as you're concerned with tantric vows, then you need to restore in relation to your the tantric, initiated masters, through or directly in person, one to one, or through restoring in relation restoring through, retaking the initiation, or uh, after you have, if the exception is uh, if you have completed the commitment retreat after you have taken the initiation, then after that, then you can perform self initiation by yourself. Then just by yourself alone, through the self initiation practice, you can restore all the broken tantric samayas. So during the self initiation is also section that you restore the Buddhist vows. So there also, so both tantric and Buddhist vows you can restore, during the self initiation. But in order to do that, must requirement is you have completed the commitment retreat, at least, if not the great retreat, but at least commitment retreat. So most of the deity yogas, commitment retreat minimum, 100,000 mantra accumulation of retreats. You see, whether you do that in open retreat or strict retreat doesn't matter, but you have to have completed that. Then following, either extensive or short, simple self initiation. Then one of the another way is that engaging in 6 session Guru Yoga practice, by daily conducting 6 session Guru Yoga practice. There you can you can combine the practice, whenever there's sections of Buddhist vows and tantric vows comes in your way, and then there you do uh, uh, you combine your visualizations and practice in relation to that particular deity. Then the tantric vows and Buddhist vows that if you have broken, then you can restore there. You can also restore there like that. So best is, this self initiation, which is very important. Then, as far as concerned with the 5 lay vows, refuge vows, then you can restore in front of Buddha, Bodhisattvas, in front of altar, or in front of your visualize, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. You can restore by retaking it. Also, through in relation to your gurus, so like that. Then verse 68, if you act with duplicity, you will suffer others' insult. Empty yourself within and destroy your inner secrets. Call forth your negative act and spit on them. When obsessions of cleanliness arise, tame it with the leper's corpse. Mm. So if you act with the duplicity, you see, mm, yeah. So if you act against virtues, dharma, and in particularly here altruism, um, now then especially to those who who already following Buddha's path, in particularly those who are sangha, who hold the vows of bodhisattva, tantric vows, who have taken refuge, then if our body, speech, and mind act against like virtues, like 10 virtues, you know, dharma, uh, you know, you know, dharma, like such as engaging in the act of non-violence, to yourself, to others, uh, or excessive, or living a life, under the great influence of self-grasping attitudes, then against the dharma. You see, if our mind is not, you know, in mindfulness of selfless, then against the dharma. Then altruism, against the altruism, then your heart, harbor harmful thoughts, such as malice, um, such as covetousness. Uh, so then uh, your heart, against your heart against altruism. You see, so this is mean. So if you act in duplicity, then you will suffer others' insult. So you see, so you will suffer others' insult. So here, the insult is that others' insult. Um, you see, so this can be understand that when you live a life according with the Dharma, according with Dharma, according with, in particularly in when we talk about Lojong practice, Mahayanic Dharma, altruistic Dharma, if our heart, if our life live according with the guidance of, you know, altruism, then you always armor yourself from any harm and against of others, including others, any harm of suffering, as well as any harm of others causing suffering to you, such as like insult, etc. You see, you become fearless, you become harmless, uh, because you are so pure. When you are pure, even others, with their wrong intention, with their misunderstanding, with their ignorance, with their jealousy, with their ego, whatever that people relate to you, including, criticizing you, you know, defaming you, accusing you. So you are immovable. You are completely free from harm. You see, so you become like that. Yeah, you see. Uh, uh, mm, then you will never suffer. You see, you will never suffer. You see, so in the spiritual world, in the spiritual practice, you know, whether you get others harm or not is not defined by whether others are harming you or not. It's very much defined by whether you have created a cause of others harm or not. You see, you have cultivated negativity or not. You see, let's say an example exactly in the word, you will suffer others insult. You see, so if if your life, if your heart is, completely harmonious with altruism, uh, then whatever criticism that others, you know um, others put on you, that it cannot disturb your heart. It cannot harm you. You see, you're harmless, you see. So in that case, uh, even other criticizing you, uh, that that is not the thing that defining whether you are false or not. You know, whether you are false or not is whether yourself is harmony with negative or virtue. If you are harmonious, if you are harmony with the negative, even other praise you, you are still object of others insult. You receive the insult. You see, if your heart is harmonious with the virtue, the altruism, even other criticize you, you cannot be harmed. You see, so therefore, in this confused world, you know, uh, there's nothing to be surprised. Uh, if someone receive praise, there's nothing to be surprised if someone receive also criticism, because we really don't know what is the fact. Only yourself know what is the fact, whether you are harmless or whether you are harmful. You see, whether you are subjected to harm or whether you are subjected to praise is very much defined by uh, yourself in harmony with what. You see, like such as Guru Shakyamuni Buddha, you see, enlightened person, like his close disciple is one of the disciples who always live with him, travel with him, Devadatta, always criticize, Buddha, always see everything Buddha do is false, and whenever Buddha teach Dharma, to the people, to the society, Devadatta always uh, think that Buddha is lying. Every single word Buddha teach to other, Buddha is cheating others. Let's say teach about generosity, teach about selfless, teach about all this. Buddha, Devadatta think that Buddha is cheating. In order Buddha to get an offering from the disciple, then Buddha, teach about generosity like that. uh, so so you see, so it's nothing to be surprised, and because of Devadatta have full of ignorance, full of obscuration, and not enough merit to see the quality in Buddha. Even Buddha teach pure Dharma, and Buddha himself, already enlightened being, uh, he received criticism, he received completely false allegation. Uh, so that doesn't define that Buddha is in fault. That doesn't define Buddha is lying, isn't it? So therefore, when we practice Dharma, we really have to be careful of how we define things, good and bad, right and wrong. We cannot behave like the ordinary world, how it behaves, based on the, external factors, external factors, define right and wrong, isn't it? So the Dharma way, not allowed to do that. It is not right to do that. Mm? So therefore, so here the main understanding is that, uh, you know, make sure that we always harmony with the virtue. We always harmony with bodhicitta and wisdom of emptiness. Then you will be completely protected from others. The suffering caused by others, like such as insult, etc. Then the second, like empty yourself within and destroy your inner secret. So empty yourself within, uh, you know, uh, you really actualize the empty of inherent I. Mm? Not just seeing emptiness of the phenomena, not just seeing emptiness of something else. You also need to see the emptiness of the subject, the mind, you see. So empty yourself within and destroy your inner secret, you see. So you actualize the wisdom of emptiness in relation to uh, the false I. Then you're able to expose the false secret, which we apprehended up to today from beginningless lifetime, thinking that I is truly existent, I inherently existent, isn't it? Mm? So through the practice, through the Dharma practice, through following the wisdom of the Buddha, then we learn the self is empty of inherent. Then through research, like there are so many scriptures that we can refer to, like such as Chandrakirti, Nagarjuna, Dharmakirti, etc., etc., like Lama Tsongkhapa. Uh, so learning, referring to their teachings, we're able to really get to a point that, you know, empty yourself within and destroy your inner secret. Mm. The inner secret, like false claim, all the false claim will be destroyed. So then they call forth your negative act and spit on them. Yeah. So that's how that you really shame, and dispel, and eradicate them. When obsessions of the cleanliness arise, tame tame it with the leopard's corpse. So this one, the last word, in particularly in relation to the earlier one, is just mainly talking about the um, the false eye. The last line very much talking about the basis of that false eye, the aggregates. Mm? So when obsessions of cleanliness arise, tame it with the leopard's corpse. So there's a particular meditation um, to overcome, our strong attachment to our aggregates, in particular our physical aggregates. When we have this false idea of, you know this contaminated aggregates as a pure, then that pure grasping to the impure substance, impure aggregates, is false view, and is also one of very 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 strong stain, court of stain, that which supplement to the ignorant of the self-grasping ignorant. So so therefore it is necessary for us to clean away this, very very sticky coat of, um, the wrong view of, um, you know you know grasping, unclean contaminated aggregate as a clean. So whenever you have um, that mind, then you can use the meditation, uh, meditation, taming that grasping through meditation on our body as like the corp that which completely, covered with the leprosy, like that. So then that will, it's a very drastic, but it will help us to lose strong attachment grasping to our body, like that. Then verse 69. When thoughts of goal seeking arise, strive to pass through numerous hazard. When feeling of revulsion arise, suck pus and blood. Be not boisterous, but relinquish grasping at self. Take not blessing from the gods, but keep arm to the gods. So this one is specifically, verse 69 specifically, meditation or the practice to overcome, eight worldly concerns. So when thoughts of, goal seeking arises, strive to pass through numerous hazards. So it's a very simple technique, and if we train in that, we're able to really overcome this kind of, worldly ambitiousness. So as a spiritual practitioner, you know, we shouldn't have this rebel kind of, attitude. We cannot compete here and there. Mm? Mm. Uh, you know, in particular in relation to material things, and in relation to worldly gains. So whenever there's a kind of goal seeking in a worldly gains, worldly gains, and then one should meditate on all the, essenceless, and also all the hazard, the hardships, all the impermanent nature, in particular impermanent nature. Then it will help us to, calm ourselves, get settled in the mind of renunciation. So when feeling of revulsion arise, uh, you know,